Hello everyone and welcome back to Make a Website Lessons on Codecademy. So in our last lesson we looked at using floats, how to keep things in line. So float was basically how to organize things around by not making them just stay in one place or in one column, but allowing them to move around, so in a row, for example. Keep it in line, where we learned how to do displays of content of HTML and arranging it. Today we're still going to continue with the topic of things of boundaries and space, but we're going to do something different. So as you can see, the first lesson is on flex. So let's get started. In the web browser, the gallery images, so the web browser, it means this here, and I can open it up to show you what we've done so far. As you can see, we arranged these in a row instead of going in a column, one below another. Images that were arranged neatly in rows are now stacked on the left side of the page, and we don't really want that, I don't think. Let's see. The CSS display value that arranged the images, flex, has been removed. In addition to other capabilities, flex can be used to easily align multiple page elements horizontally. So now they're just arranged in one column, but it doesn't look very nice this way. The way it was arranged before was, it was like 4 images in a row and then 2 below in the center, which looked much better. So in the example code below, there is a div with class parent. So as you can see, there we go. Let's try and find that. Div class parent. Can I do class equals parent in another place, hopefully? Oh, okay, there's only one match. So to make children of the div align horizontally on the web page in CSS, we can use .parent, so the class parent, and then we can give it things that we want, so properties that we want. In this case, we want its display to be flex, so we do display colon flex semicolon, and then close the curly brace if that's the point that we've got up to. So the children elements of the div with class parent will now align horizontally. We can make sure no child element moves off the page by using flex wrap, and then you have the what's it called, the thing that comes after the colon, wrap. And then how to do that is the same as anything else in CSS. Finally, to center rows of children elements, we can use justify content and center, the same thing there. So instructions before we start working with flex: expand the browser view by clicking the arrow button in the top right corner. So I've done that. Take a moment to notice that the image gallery is arranged vertically and off center, which doesn't look nice, which we talked about earlier. Next, locate the .gallery class selector in main.css. So we're going to switch tabs. So let's find .gallery, actually, the class gallery, we have it right here. Set the display property to flex, so that's easy enough. Flex semicolon. Click run to see the gallery images align horizontally. So now when we full screen it, as you can see, they're aligned horizontally. But we don't really want them to go off the page because, well, somebody would need to scroll, and this scroll down here is rarely ever used. You only want to be scrolling up and down, not left and right. It's just not nice. Hopefully that's going to work good. Next instructions. There's a problem. If you look to the right side of the web page, some of the gallery images are cut off. To solve this, below the display flex property, create a flex wrap property and set it to wrap. So let's find it again. Here we go. So, oops, I did not mean to put a 4 there. I meant to press enter. Create a flex, so flex dash wrap, and set it to wrap with a semicolon there. If we run it, now things are going to be different. So as you can see, now it arranges depending on how big the display is. So if the display is smaller, as it is here on the right now, they're going to be aligned to the left still, but they're going to be aligned horizontally, but still wrapping down if there isn't enough space, which is why we see them in a column now. But if we make the display bigger, as you can see, they wrap around down, don't go off the page, so we don't need to use the left and right scrolling. And this looks much better. Now what we want to do is center them so that these aren't here. Well, if you don't have to center them, but it might look nicer to center them or give them some kind of symmetry. So I think that's what we're going to do next. Finally, we will center the gallery images. For the gallery class selector and the property justify content and set it to center. Let's just copy that because I have a feeling I might misspell justify, like I do a lot of times, and center, the American spelling of center. Don't forget that. There we go. So now if it's on a smaller display, as you can see, they're centered and not aligned to the left like they were before. And now if we make it a bigger display, they're again centered, so they have symmetry along this line here, if you wanted to look at it that way. So let's move on. The CSS Position Property enables you to position HTML elements in exact locations on a web page. So it gives you a lot of flexibility basically. One useful value for this property is relative. This value positions page elements on a web page relative to where they would normally appear. So by first setting position relative in CSS, you can then use the CSS properties top, left, bottom and right to shift an element away from where it would have normally appeared on the page. So what it means, I think, is, for example, if you select this image and you make it move left, it's going to move to the left, so maybe align with the left border. The code snippet below moves a div with the class container 10 pixels away from the up and 20 pixels away from the left side of the page. So it basically moves it slightly right and slightly down. So position relative, top 10 pixels, left 20 pixels. It gives an extra padding, I guess. Ever click a button on a web page that seemed to move down and then back up like a real life button? Well, we can implement this trick using the position property. That's nice to know. So in main.css, locate contact button A. So let's find that. That's contact button. This is contact button A. So the A stands for anchor or the hyperlink. So we're selecting a hyperlink that's inside of the class contact button, which is a selector for, okay, so it actually explains that there. I did not see that. Beneath the properties already listed for the contact btn A selector, add this, so position relative. And that is not there, so we are good. Let's run. Nothing should happen right now because it's just relative and we haven't actually set anything, any extra things such as top, bottom, left or right. But now let's see what we can do. Next, locate the .contact btn A active selector here. So this is a pseudo class selector which we use to style an element only when it's being clicked. So when you click it, it's going to, we want to move it slightly downwards. Add the following CSS to the contact button A selector. Let's indent that just to make it clearer. This will cause the contact button to move down slightly while being clicked, simulating a real life button being pushed. So click run, then try clicking the contact button in the web browser. So active just means when clicked, basically, if you didn't understand that. So this is the contact button. When I click it, you can see that it moves down very slightly. Let's actually make it move down more than 2 pixels so that it's more noticeable, just in case you guys cannot see it. Let's make it something like 10 pixels. I know it's quite a lot and you probably would never do 10 pixels in reality, but yeah. As you can see, it definitely goes down when I click it. And I'm definitely clicking it because you can hear my clicking, hopefully. There we go. So we are done with that. Also, if you guys have any questions, do feel free to ask in the comments down below. I will be explaining them as soon as I can. So, nice work, we've covered a lot. Let's review the Web and CSS concepts covered in this lesson, or in this section, I think it means. So in the last 3 videos, including this one. If you missed those, make sure to watch them so that you know what's going on and where we're up to. So far we've done 75% of the course, so make sure that if you guys want to see something specific in the next course that I will be doing, you comment it down below in the comments so that I know that what you guys want to see. So, okay, coming back to this. Web concepts, CSS box model. So this illustrates the space and boundary properties of an HTML element that can be controlled using CSS. It can also be controlled using HTML, I believe, but it's a bit more difficult and a bit more annoying, which is why CSS came around. So we covered that in the box model. Basically, that was just a visual representation of the box model. Then CSS skills. Border sets the outline of an HTML page element like a picture frame that contains the element. So to more about these things, again, check out the box model, which contains basically a lot of these things. So border, padding and margin are in the box model. So padding sets the amount of space between an element's content and its border. Margin sets the amount of space between an HTML element and the next nearest element. Okay, then display. So we covered that in, again, here somewhere, I do remember it. So here we have display. We also covered displaying the other topics all around. So in 6, as you can see there, we worked with margins before that, and we also worked with the border there. So the display property that determines how the selected element will be arranged in relation to other HTML elements on the page. So it's not just flex that you can use for display, so make sure to check out the other videos to see what other things you can use. Inline display value used to arrange HTML elements on the same line as neighboring elements, basically to put them on a row instead of a column, so that they look nicer. Or depending on what you want, really. You don't have to do it that way, you don't have to make them inline, but sometimes it looks nicer to make them inline, sometimes it doesn't. Flex, what we have covered today. Display value that allows us to easily align multiple page elements vertically or horizontally, and we also learned how to center using flex. Float, property used to float HTML elements left or right of neighboring elements while avoiding them so that they aren't on top of each other. And position, property used to position HTML elements in exact locations on a web page. So that's it for today, guys. If you have any questions, as I said before, do feel free to ask in the comments down below. Other than that, if you didn't enjoy this video, please give it a dislike, tell me in the comments how I can improve for next time. But if you did actually enjoy the video and learned something new, please give me a like, share, subscribe, it helps me out and it encourages me to make more videos like this one. So until the next time, thank you so much for watching and goodbye.